YouTube, my name is Elizabeth and welcome to the Hourly. I don't know if I'm going to put that part in, but I just totally said book babble and I seriously need to stop. But anyway, today I'm going to be doing my most anticipated reads for the end of the year 2016. It is June, it is the middle of the year, and it's time to talk about how we're doing with our reading and books we want to read and all of the things. I actually did a blog post updating everybody on my reading goals and what I've read and my statistics and everything like that on my blog. So if you're interested in seeing that, I will link it down below. I'm not going to do a video about it just because I didn't think there was enough content there, and I really wanted to see the full year in December instead of like having it 6 months and 6 months. But if you're interested in seeing how I've been doing this year, check it out down below. So I'm going to separate this into two separate sections. The first section is books that are like either standalones or first books in a new series, and the second one are continuations of series. So the first book that I am most excited for, of course, is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This comes out on November 8th. It is going to be a retelling of the Queen of Hearts before, I guess, she was a tyrant, or before Alice in Wonderland and all of those things. And it's just, I didn't care what the book was about. As soon as I heard that Marissa Meyer was coming out with a new book, I had to read it. It's Marissa Meyer. She's my auto-buy author. I need to buy everything from her. I just need all of her books, and I will read everything that she writes. I can't wait. Next is Furthermore by Tahereh Mafi. This comes out on August 30th, and I know that this is a middle grade series. Other than that, I don't really know what it's about. Ever since I read Shatter Me, I have been convinced that I just need to read everything that Tahereh Mafi comes out with, so naturally I'm gonna read this. I'm not a big fan of the cover. It's okay, I just feel like it's too busy. I don't even know if this is going to be the final cover, but regardless, I think Tahereh Mafi has beautiful writing and beautiful world building, so I'm gonna pick this up. Next is Beast by Bree Spangler. This comes out on October 11th, and this is a loose Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it's a contemporary, and the main female character is transgender, and I love, love, love that I'm going into this book knowing that there is an LGBT character in this book. I just think that's great because there are so many books and so many authors nowadays who just feel like it's a spoiler to not put, to not say in the description that there are gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender characters in their novels, and I just love that it just comes right out and says it. So I'm just really excited for that. Other than that, I'm not really sure what it's about. I think it's about boy and a girl and they fall in love type thing, but the girl just so happens to be transgender. So again, really excited about this. Stealing Snow by Danielle Page. This comes out on September 20th. This is a Snow White retelling, and if it's got the word fairy tale retelling in the description, I'm gonna read it. Other than that, I don't really know much about it. I don't really want to go into fairy tale retellings knowing a lot about the plot. If I know that it's a retelling and I know what fairy tale it's a retelling of, then I'm probably going to read it. I just don't want to know too much because then I start comparing it to other retellings, and I just don't want to do that. I like taking them for the story that they are. So again, I don't really know much about it, but I'm still going to read it. Three Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake comes out on September 20th as well. I know that this is a fantasy about triplets, and they are all girls, and they are destined to, one of them is destined to win the crown and be the queen of their country, but before they do that, they have to kill their other two sisters, so I'm sold. Alright, so now into books that are continuations of series. The first one is A Torch Against the Night by Sabatir, which comes out on August 30th. This is a sequel to this book, which I can't think of the name of right now, and I completely fail. I'm having a brain fart. But I read this last year when it came out, and it was really, really enjoyable. The things are kind of foggy, so I'm hoping that Recaptains has a recap of this on their website. If you guys aren't familiar with Recaptains, it's amazing when you're a huge series reader. If you read the first book or the second book in a series like a year ago and you need to catch up before the next book in the series comes out, they recap it for you with all of the spoilers so you know exactly what's going on, so you're prepared to go into the third one. So I'm really hoping that this book is on Recaptains so I can refresh my memory of what happened so I don't have to reread it, but I remember loving this book so much, so I'm excited. The Bronze Key, which is the third book in the Magisterium series by Cassandra Clare and Holly Black, comes out on August 30th. The first book in the series is about a boy who goes to magic school, and I have been in love with the series since it came out 2 years ago. It is just very, very well written. It is a middle grade series, but I'm really, really enjoying it. A lot of people compare this to Harry Potter, but the magic system and the school itself are very different. If you guys are like needing something similar to Harry Potter, but you don't want to reread Harry Potter for some reason, then this is a great choice. And definitely get caught up before the third book comes out because it is so good. Then The Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling, Jack Thorne, and John Tiffany comes out July 31st. And this, of course, is not a book. It is a screenplay, but it's going to be in book form. So I included it on this list. Obviously, everyone is excited. I'm going to be going to the midnight release, and we're going to be doing games, and I'm going to be help hosting at my Barnes & Noble, and I'm just so excited for this. I just can't wait. I can't wait. I keep saying I can't wait, but I can't wait for all of them. The Midnight Stars, the third book in the Young Elite series by Marie Lu. This comes out October 11th, and this is from the perspective of a anti-hero, and I just am really enjoying this series, of course, as I am with all the rest of them. Marie Lu is like the queen of cliffhangers, and so at the end of the first book, I was just left on this huge cliffhanger. Same thing with the second book. So if you guys want to marathon this series back to back, October 11th is the perfect time to do it because this series is so good and it's so refreshing to be reading from an anti-hero's point of view, and I really feel like our main character is going from anti-hero to straight up villain, but I guess we'll see what happens in the third one. The Beauty of Darkness is the third and final book in the Remnant Chronicle series by Mary E. Pearson. This comes out August 2nd. I'm so bummed because the first two books in this series came out the week of my birthday, and I was able to pre-order them, and it was kind of like a birthday present to myself, but now I have to wait an extra 3 weeks for this to come out. My birthday is July 11th, and it doesn't come out till August 2nd, but I am so sad that this series is going to end. This was probably my first real young adult fantasy that I was absolutely in love with, really got me into young adult fantasy, and so I'm just really sad that it's going to be over, but I really need to know what happens to Leah and Rafe and Caden. If you're not familiar with this series, the first book, The Kiss of Deception, follows our main character Leah, who is betrothed to marry the prince of a neighboring country, and she has this idea that he's going to be old and mean, and so instead of marrying him for her country, she runs away, and two men come after her. One is an assassin sent by her father because he's mad she ran away, and then the other person is the prince that she was supposed to marry, but we don't know who is the prince and who is the assassin. So the guessing game in the first one just hooked me, and then I fell in love with the characters, and it was just so enjoyable. Please read the series. The next book in the Illuminate Files series, Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. I always say Megan Spooner. Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This was just a super good book when it came out last year. I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was going to be a standalone, but it's not, and I'm really excited for it. I'm not really sure what to expect with the second one. I might have to reread Illuminate. I don't know, because I don't really remember where I left off, but I feel like it left off kind of at an end, so I'm not sure if they kind of came up with this book out of nowhere and they kind of wanted to add something to it. I don't know, but regardless, I'm going to read it because I loved Illuminate so much. The Black Key is the third and final book in the Lone City series, and this comes out on October 4th. And this is the first and the second book for this is the Jewel and then the Rose. And I read these back to back at the beginning of the year in January, and I got obsessed. They were so freaking good. I don't know why it took me 2 years to read this series because it's amazing. It's dystopian. If you are a fan of the Selection, where it kind of has a feel of contemporary, but not really. It's dark. It's definitely darker than the Selection, but if you're just discovering the Selection and you want something kind of similar to it where it's dystopian but reads a little contemporary and it's got a really good romance, definitely check out this series. It's so good. I cannot recommend it enough. And finally, the last book, As Old as Time, which is the third book in the Twisted Tales series by Liz Braswell. I keep wanting to call this book A Tale as Old as Time because that just makes more sense. Just the book being called As Old as Time, I just feel like it doesn't roll off the tongue very well. But this comes out September 6th, and if you guys aren't familiar with the Twisted Tales series, I've read all of them and they are all spectacular. Basically the idea is that they are retelling all of the Disney fairy tales, and they're very similar to the Disney animated movie version of the fairy tales, and they're just changing one aspect. So, for example, the Aladdin one, which is the first book in the series, I can't remember what it was called. I think it's called A Whole New World, and what they changed is that Jafar got the lamp before Aladdin, and it was just so good. The second one, which was the Sleeping Beauty retelling, was not as good as the first one, but Beauty and the Beast is my favorite Disney fairy tale, so I'm hoping that this one is as epic as the first one. But regardless, it's a fairy tale retelling, and I've been following it since the beginning, so I'm super excited about it. Alright guys, that is it for the books that I am just super excited about over the next 6 months. I'm really sorry about my lighting. Like, the sun was just like so bright, and I had amazing lighting, and then it just kind of went away, but I hope it's not too bad. But anyway, let me know down in the comments below what books you are excited about for the rest of the year. Like, what's your #1 pick for the books that you want to come out this year? And I will see you in my next video. Bye!